This is a HeadGum podcast.
Hello and welcome to The Complete Guide to Everything, a podcast about everything. I'm one of your hosts, Tom.
And I'm Tim.
Tim, how are you doing this week?
Tom, I'm hungry. I didn't eat dinner. I forgot to eat dinner.
We're at my home right now. We're not at the HeadGum studios this week.
No.
They're fumigating. We were told. They've got one of those big fumigation tents over, and we snuck in and got very sick.
Yeah. I was going to say they were fumigating and they didn't tell us.
Right.
And they were just like, nah, just go in and wait for us.
Yeah, just go at the normal time.
If they were trying, if Marika and the gang were trying to kill us, rather than just kick us off the network, yeah, we're dumb.
We could just show up there and they'd be like, oh, we got like cupcakes today. And we'd be like, oh,
free
nachos
in there. You put a giant plate of nachos in there,
filled with rat poison.
Yeah, and just also pump in some poison gas, some carbon monoxide.
Dead within the hour.
Yeah, carbon monoxide.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to get dark here.
Yeah,
this is a bad thing that they should try to.
They do try and minimize it.
Yeah, but it's a bummer. I guess one of the reasons why I welcome electric cars.
Mm-hmm. No carbon monoxide.
Yeah, people can't accidentally leave their car running in their garage that's connected to their home.
Right.
And fall asleep and never wake up.
Yeah. Bad stuff. Get a carbon monoxide detector.
Whenever I'm sleeping in
That's
a new place.
That's the message from The Complete Guide to Everything.
Yeah, whenever I'm in a new place, I'm like sleeping in a hotel or an Airbnb or something, I'm always like, well, there's 50% chance.
You can get a portable carbon monoxide detector that's like battery operated.
Yeah, I guess that's like what many carbon monoxide detectors that people have in their home even are.
But they make special ones for like camping and stuff. That is like specially made for like if you have a tent that you can like put a little oven in or something or start a fire in. Mm-hmm. That you take one of these with you so that you don't get carbon monoxide poisoning.
That would be one of my tools that I would choose to bring if I was on the television program Alone.
I don't think I know that program.
Hatchet. Oh, it's great, Tom. You'll love it.
It's not Naked and... I know Naked and Scared.
Naked and Afraid.
I think it's Naked and Scared.
I don't think so. I don't know. Whatever.
Hey, all
Same
I know
thing.
is they're naked. And sometimes they can show their butts and sometimes they can't.
Butts on cable, on basic cable...
should be a given at this point.
Has become like the word shit. Where it's like... all of a sudden, somebody decided, shit isn't a curse. You can say that on TBS.
And you can show butts.
Yeah.
And it's like if I were 13 and there were a cable channel where they said shit and showed butts, I'd throw my remote in the ocean because I'd be like, I found the channel I'm watching.
Yeah, but kids these days are like, that is tame compared to the filth that I'm watching. When I get home from school on the computer that my parents bought. Oh, no, on the freaking phone.
Yeah.
I'm watching this I'm watching this in math class.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm watching the things that would make you throw up.
Yeah. It would make us throw up. If any one of our grandparents had caught a glimpse of it, they would have died of shock.
Yeah.
At any point in their lives. Yeah.
Progress is a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Humanity is disgusting.
Well, Tim, I would have offered you some food if you had brought this up.
What do you got?
Earlier. Oh, I'm not going to go through all the food I have.
Pizza rolls?
I can make you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich during the break.
That's great. I am unironically telling you that.
All right, I'll make you one.
I love a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Hey, and I make a mean one. I just got some fresh bread today.
Nice. What do you use? Peanut butter?
For the bread? No, I get regular bread.
What kind of bread?
Honey wheat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've got some grape jelly. And some natural chunky peanut butter.
Okay. You know what? I was never a chunky man growing up. Now I'm into it.
Yeah. Yeah, you have gotten chunky lately.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, of course not. I just want to make sure you're not letting yourself go.
What do you mean?
You know.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to get in better shape, Tom.
Good. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
Tim, I've had a good week. I went to Broadway this week.
The Great White Way.
The Great White Way.
Is that why you went there?
No, I went there to see a play. 2 plays, as a matter of fact.
Cabaret.
I don't think Cabaret is on Broadway anymore.
It comes back every once in a while.
We talk about Broadway on this show more than I would have expected.
Yeah. I love Broadway.
Yeah, it's such a fun thing.
Well,
Theater,
I'll be honest.
live theater.
Yeah,
huh?
I don't like plays so much.
Yeah, you like musicals, so.
Yeah. Put on a show, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah,
wow me.
Even bad musicals I've gone to, still fun.
Yeah.
So
I mean, bad Broadway musicals.
Right,
a bad
right.
musical that's not
yeah.
on Broadway.
No, that could be anything. But a bad Broadway musical, they're at the very least going to have like some of the most talented singers and dancers you've ever seen in your life involved.
Exactly.
The songs might be terrible, but
who cares? We saw King Kong on Broadway.
Yeah.
I don't remember one note of one song.
Right. But they were, I was tapping my foot in the moment, maybe.
And King Kong was a real monster that was on stage.
Yeah. It wasn't real. It was a stage effect. I went to see Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, parts 1 and part 2.
By J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Who you said you respect everything and all opinions she's ever
No,
held.
I think she has a lot of questionable opinions nowadays.
Right.
Yeah. 2 parts.
Which one specifically? I don't want to.
Yeah, what are you trying to do?
Look, it's fine. I know. Look, you went and saw this. It was probably cheaper because she's been canceled.
No, it was the same price.
Ooh,
and look, even if J.K. Rowling gets completely canceled, she's a billionaire. She's fine.
Thank God for that.
Right. Although I will say this, I do like that.
She makes some good
No, God damn it, Tim, stop. I like the fact that she has like retained the rights to her creation.
Yeah.
And is able to do so. I went to this show, and for people that don't know, it's 2 parts, and they're 2 separate tickets you have to buy. So you don't necessarily have to see the 2 parts back to back.
Now, what are they? Part 1 and part 2?
That's how they do it.
Okay.
I happen to go. They do part 1 and part 2 the same day on some days, and then they do part 1 one night, part 2 the next night some days. So this. So
you went on
matinee.
a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A
and
matinee.
Matinees are generally Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. Is that how Broadway works?
I don't know.
When do they go dark? Monday?
Yeah, but Harry
and
Potter.
when someone like Harry Hamlin dies.
Harry Potter has off Monday and Tuesday.
Oh, lazy.
Well, because they have to do freaking 8 shows a week.
So does everybody else.
No, they don't. Not 8.
What do you mean?
Maybe 8. I don't know. I thought matinees were only on Saturdays.
No, Wednesday matinees. You didn't hear about it?
No, I didn't hear about it. But anyway.
Broadway schedule.
Broadway schedule. What do you think that's going to bring up?
You want to know what the first hit was?
What?
Broadway.com.
Yeah, of course.
But not like anything, like / anything.
Just you know what? Google's like, we don't know what to tell you, but start here.
Let me look up cabaret.
But when I was like in line for water at one point, they put the water fountain all the way in the dang basement to, really try and dissuade you from getting free water and instead buy like a $9 water from them.
Mm-hmm.
This guy was in front of me in line. And he was like, I wonder if Warner Brothers, how did he put it? If Warner Brothers supported this, or if Warner Brothers sponsored this. I'm like, first off, Warner Brothers doesn't sponsor things.
Wait, this is
just a man in line for water.
He's talking about sponsoring the play?
Yeah.
Okay. This guy, some yokel here on vacation.
Yeah, probably.
And he's like, oh, let me talk like a big shot. Let me name a Hollywood studio.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking like, these were
farm.
These were books first, man. And like, no, Warner Brothers, at least as far as I know, is not sponsoring it. They don't sponsor. They maybe sponsor like a softball team, but they don't sponsor plays put on by billionaires.
Yeah.
Did
he mean like invest in it?
I think that's what he meant.
How much of the intellectual property are they?
Right.
Like, if a production is mounted with like visual elements, do they have a piece of it?
Yeah. Which is curious because like there are definitely parts in the play where they are obviously taking huge inspiration from the movie. Where you might be able to say, oh, yeah, that character, they said they had this way of talking and they looked like this, but then that character pops up on stage and you're like, oh, no, that's somebody doing the character from the movie, 100%.
I bet Warner Brothers has their finger.
Maybe they do.
Yakko, Wacko, and Dot.
Yeah. Let me tell you, though, people in these Broadway shows, Tim, I long for the day when people would dress up in their Sunday finest.
What did you wear?
I wore jeans, but I wore nice shoes, dress shoes.
Dress shoe? Penny loafers?
Yeah. And I wore a black button-down shirt, but get this, tucked it in.
Wow.
I never tuck my shirts in.
I know.
And I tuck this one in.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
There's two things you don't do. Tuck your shirt in and censor any kind of anything that comes out of your mouth, like slurs or curse words.
Not slurs. Stop freaking... This podcast doesn't exist for you to just slander me every week.
Well, why don't you fight back?
Maybe I will. Are you putting out there like, well, you know, if I was wrong, he would have sued me by now.
Imagine you sued me.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I'd sue you.
Like to see you try.
But there are just some I'll be honest, I didn't see that many problems with the way people were dressing, mostly because it's cold in New York City right now.
And also, it's a Harry Potter thing. It's not...
I'll tell you, there were a lot of kids wearing cloaks.
Really?
Yeah.
That shouldn't be allowed.
And then also I was thinking like, oh, this is funny because it's, you know, a Broadway theater and they have a cloak room.
Did any of the kids check their cloaks?
No, and I'm just thinking, you know, if there's any play you would want to wear a cloak during, it would be this play where the people on stage are often wearing cloaks.
Yeah. Now, I know this is a dumb question because this was a book and movie series for kids. Was your enjoyment of the play diminished at all by the fact that there were a bunch of kids there?
No, not at all. There weren't any kids seated near me.
Okay. Kids ruin everything.
Yeah. I mean, I can't. So
but like this is for kids. It's like, oh man, I went to see the SpongeBob movie and all these kids in the theater.
But between the two parts, it's 5 hours and 15 minutes long.
Right.
And that's not including intermissions and the time in between parts 1 and part 2.
Right.
Where it's like 2.5 hours you have to go get dinner or whatever. Right.
Where'd you get dinner?
A place called, I forget what it was called.
McDonald's?
No, it was like an American pub type, a gastro pub.
Wendy's?
No. So I can't imagine a kid. I was thinking the whole time.
Well, the kids aren't going to do it in one day, right? Do you think the kids, do you think the parents take them to one? It's like, shame on you, J.K. Rowling, for being like, oh, yeah, no, we're going to make everybody buy 2 tickets to 2 plays.
Yeah.
Because, like, especially completists for the Harry Potter series. And it's kids. Kids don't care. Do you think a lot of parents, like, buy them tickets to part 1 and be like, that was it?
No, because I'm not going to give any spoilers, but, like, part 1 ends on, like, a very, like, dark cliffhanger note. So it's like you can't be like, well, that was part 8 of that was book 8 of Harry Potter, and it ended horribly for everyone.
The evil genius that is Rowling was just like, well, if parents try to pass off the first one, as the end, their kids are going to be traumatized, so they'll have to come back.
I'll tell you something, and I won't give you. I'm not going to say spoilers, but something happens at the end of part 1 that changes the merch they have when you leave.
What?
Which is pretty neat.
Friggin' Rowling, man. How much money do you need?
And I almost bought like a shirt because I was like, oh, I bet like this is obviously going to get undone during part 2. Maybe they only sell this merch during the break. Maybe I should just buy it because what if I want it later and there's no other option? They were
back in the Harry Potter vault.
Yeah, they were selling it later. They just changed the signs back.
Yeah,
when everything wound up all right.
I'd love to know what the development is plot wise.
It's just things end on a very sour note.
You know what? Well, when I went and saw Into the Woods when I was a child, my mom hated it so much that at intermission she tried to tell me it was over, and I was only like 5 years old.
And you're like, "This intermission."
Yeah, and I was just like, "No, we didn't. They didn't say what happened to the Wicked Witch." Like
right.
she was, she's like, "You outsmarted me this time, Tim."
I was thinking the whole time, not the whole time. I was enjoying the show. But 5 hours and 15 minutes, and I'm thinking, when I was a kid, my parents took me to Thundercats on Ice. And I bet that in retrospect, that show was 35 minutes long.
Yeah, because who are you hurting if you make that 35 minutes long?
I'm going to love it just as much.
You get, you're going to love it just as much. 35 minutes to a kid, they don't know the difference between...
No, and I don't want to sit there for 2 hours and watch Lion-O skate around.
Yeah, and your parents are probably like, great, I didn't understand what the fuck was going on here. And guess what? I get to go home now.
But that was also back when things were made solely for kids, so they were like, it doesn't matter if things make sense, and like, the characters can kind of look like the characters, it's fine.
Yeah, I remember seeing Sesame Street live and feeling so. There's the same thing that happened with Sesame Place. It was so ripped off when friggin' Grover comes out. And it's a man in a full-size suit, and Grover's 3 times the size as me, a child.
Yeah, and you're like, that's not how big he is.
Yeah, Grover is at most the size of a 3-year-old human.
Yeah, put him behind a desk.
Yeah, just bring the friggin' puppets. You just make some puppets.
Yeah, kids would like that a lot more.
Yeah, pissed me off. Same thing when I went to Sesame Place. I was like, this isn't Sesame Street.
Yeah, like, all right, Big Bird, sure, I buy it. He is that
They
big.
had the real Big Bird there. The real Big Bird was there. It was awesome.
Right. But everybody else, I want to see him in a garbage can or behind some kind of a fixture.
Yeah. No need to reinvent the wheel, Sesame Street Live people.
Yeah.
Use the dang puppets that you have already.
Well, and they're better than most.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, these Thundercats and Silverhawks on Ice
what
things.
Silverhawks?
Silverhawks was like Thundercats, but different. They were guys and women that wore like all silver outfits, and they could fly in space.
Why did they have so much stuff on ice? Was it just because like, well, we have these hockey arenas? Like,
I'm sure it was just like, we can rent out hockey
opportunism?
arenas on the off season for dirt cheap because they're not being used for anything else. And we'll put it on ice so we don't have to write a show. We can just have somebody come out and do a few skating tricks.
I think that's my main problem with people who have nostalgia for their childhood, the things that they like, the media that they consumed during childhood. Because it's all like, you know what, guys, you shouldn't continue having this place in your heart for these properties and things that were just devised by the most craven corporatists who are just like, what's the easiest way that we can sell shit to kids like that will cost us nothing, that they will pay a premium for? And then people are taking this into their 30s like, no, that was the pinnacle of human achievement. People are nuts. All these people trying to bring back Thundercats on Ice. Enough with your petitions, I say.
I don't think anybody's trying to bring back Thundercats.
Yeah, no,
on
go to
ice.
change.org. There's so many petitions about it. It makes me sick.
Well, speaking of nostalgia, Tim, we're talking about something I know at least you have a lot of nostalgia for.
Yeah, it's great.
You suggested this topic. You were very excited
It's
about
something that
You've suggested this for a while
Yeah, I'm
now.
shocked we haven't done it.
We've done a lot of things adjacent to it.
Yeah. McDonaldland.
Yeah. How many people do you think listen to this show and don't look at the title? And we always like reveal it.
The
like
people
it's a
that are
big
listening to this on the radio.
like it's a big secret.
I hate that. There are some podcasts that I listen to that like act like you don't know who the guest is going to be before it's on.
Right.
And they build up this whole thing for 5 minutes before
and
they
it's like I
introduce
clicked on a link on Instagram where it was a picture of you and this guest to listen to this.
them. Yeah. Hey, it harkens back to the old days of old-timey radio. You never knew who was going to join Little Orphan Annie.
Right.
You didn't know in the 80s on television who Webster was going to encounter that week.
Yeah.
Would it be Gregory Hines? Would it be Patrick Ewing?
Was Patrick Ewing on
Yeah, and he said, and Webster said this, in your eye, hoop.
Wow.
To the basketball hoop.
The two of them next to each other must have been quite a sight.
Yeah, Webster was little.
Yeah. And Patrick Ewing's very tall.
Very tall. Yeah, it was when Webster went off looking for his birth father.
And he thought, oh, I see. It's like a joke that it was Patrick Ewing.
It wasn't really him. He just like
right,
encountered
but
a bunch of people.
like, oh, maybe it's him. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, obviously.
But also Webster was a kid.
Right.
Wasn't
Well,
like-
he wasn't a kid.
He was. At the time, he was a kid.
Right. Well, in the early seasons, right?
There weren't that many seasons of Webster. Things went downhill when they moved into that mansion with the dumbwaiter.
Yeah. Although I love that.
I love it. I loved it in theory.
Yeah.
But I don't think they really did that much creative stuff with the dumbwaiter.
I watched, and you watched this too, I know because we talked about a movie, Ready or Not, and at one point a character hides in a dumbwaiter, and I was like, yes, 5 stars.
Love some good dumbwaiter hijinks. I feel like they peaked in the 80s. Like I was watching an episode of Cheers where there were some really good dumbwaiter hijinks.
You don't see dumbwaiters that much anymore.
No.
And what happened? What technology replaced
Dumbwaiters
dumbwaiters?
in this economy?
I think maybe it's just, you know what? It's not that much more convenient. Just go up the stairs with the meal.
Yeah.
You know, half the time we put the meal in there and it falls down a shaft and then we can't get it out of there. Just sits there at the bottom rotting.
Yeah. Stinks up the whole mansion.
Mm.
I went to a place with the dumbwaiter recently. The James Beard House.
Mm.
Yeah. They didn't use the dumbwaiter, though.
Mm.
Anyway, we're going to lean heavily on...
I was trying to think of a famous waiter that we knew somehow to be like, oh, to make a joke when you're like, oh, I went someplace with a dumb waiter, and I'd be like, oh, you went somewhere where James was? I was like, there aren't famous waiters.
Are there any waiters in pop culture, like well-known pop culture?
No, I mean, there are famous butlers and famous maids, but there aren't famous waiters, I don't think.
Yeah.
There are famous waiters, like the waiter in that Monty Python sketch, but like I don't think he's named, or at least people don't know his name.
Right. There's Jennifer Aniston in Office Space.
Right. Oh, and she was a waiter. She worked at Central Perk, right?
She was more of a barista.
No, she wasn't making the coffee. She was bringing it out.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that a coffee place has a waiter, a server, maybe.
Look, that coffee place didn't follow any rules. Why did they have a couch that was facing a wall?
Because there were other... You know what? I take offense to people when they're like, why does that happen? Why was their apartment so big in New York? Because it's a goddamn TV show, and it would be depressing if they lived in an actual New York City apartment. You wouldn't want to watch that. My life is depressing.
Nobody wants to see this.
No. Same thing, I don't know. Forget it. It's like... The first episode...
I'm just saying she was... what you're saying is that coffee shops don't have waiters, which I agree with. They have baristas, and the baristas sometimes bring a thing out. But I think in the messed up Friends world, where everybody had a huge apartment, she was simply a waitress.
Yeah.
She did not make the coffees.
But
that
if
was
you
what's
said...
his name's job?
Yeah, but if
Nestor?
Gunther.
Gunther, yeah.
If you said, oh, the famous pop culture waitress Rachel Green, people would be like, no, she worked in fashion.
Later.
But, like, for a much more significant period of time.
Okay.
She was just part of the wait staff while she was figuring out her life.
Look, you asked me if I knew a famous pop culture waiter or waitress. I gave that as the best answer I could think of. It's better than anything you came up with.
It was
so
her character in Office Space.
Right. So, yeah.
Because she began and ended as a waitress.
At Shenanigans.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think so. It wasn't Shenanigans.
I think it was Shenanigans.
You misremember so many things.
No, I don't think so.
Naked and Afraid.
Anyway, Tim, you're talking about McDonaldland this week.
Yeah.
What is McDonaldland for the layperson?
And I'm going to...
for the non-citizen.
I'm going to rely a lot on mcdonalds.fandom.com.
Right, your homepage.
Yeah, because they have a really good, a really great rundown, and I recommend it. But also, it's so annoying. The color scheme makes it so hard to read. It's like back in the early days of the internet where
people can't see it, but it's like black text on red.
Yeah.
Like dark red background.
Remember when there was like dark black or black background with neon green writing in the early days of the web?
That's how I work.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not thinking of like
I'm
not thinking of like the terminal or whatever.
Right.
Whatever.
No, but when I write,
and of course, I mean the Tom Hanks movie.
When I write, that's my full screen mode. It's green text on black. Yeah. I feel like it's easier on my eyes to have a black background.
Calming.
To have a black background, and it's like, well, I don't want white text. So the green text makes me feel like I'm in the Matrix.
Some of this might surprise you, Tom.
Yeah, I doubt it.
McDonaldland, and this is according to fandom.com. I don't think this is copyrighted, right? Because it's a wiki.
Sure. You gave credit.
Giving credit. I love fandom.com.
All you have to do on the internet is say, no copyright infringement intended.
Exactly. I do not own
full
this.
Credit.
Yeah. That oddly seems to work on YouTube, right?
No. I mean, they have just robots running on YouTube.
McDonaldland is a fantasy world. That's a shock to you,
What?
Right? Used in a large collection of McDonald's commercials from 1971.
Sure, it was science fiction, but fantasy?
From 1971 to 2003. It's over, man. It's dead.
It's never over.
They
can always bring it back. They're going to bring that shit back
soon.
The
Lost City of Atlantis. Featuring, it's been gone for 17 goddamn years, Tom.
Not in my heart.
Featuring a magical world setting inhabited by many quirky characters.
Now, what was so magical about it? Just the beings?
Yeah, the beings.
That, like, the biology didn't make sense?
Hamburgers grew on trees.
God, can you imagine?
I think Birdie and the Hamburglar were an item. So, like, that's unholy.
Yeah, it always seemed like that.
Yeah.
Right?
I have some
Birdie,
really surprising
fan
information
fiction.
about Birdie. So anyway, this was a given when I was a kid. That McDonaldland was just like, oh, that's why I wanted to go to McDonald's, because of these goddamn characters, right?
Well,
I didn't really
they suckered us in with the puppets.
Yeah.
And the costume mascots.
They were more like costume characters than puppets. Like
I'm thinking of the Fry Guys.
Yeah, and the Fry Guys weren't. Oh yeah, they were marionettes maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
And the little McNuggets guys were little puppets.
Right, yeah. They were like the doozers and
yeah, I didn't like when they made the
Fraggle
food
Rock.
the characters. Even as a kid that skeeved me out.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I'm gonna eat this?
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat a sentient chicken McNugget?
Yeah. And then once I learned that the chicken McNuggets were actually made from live chickens, that's kind of fucked up too, right? That they made a character. They made characters that were in the
how does
McNuggets.
that work? A chicken is a bunch of chickens are ground up, made into a nugget, and then somebody puts a consciousness into that.
Exactly, and then they sing songs on a commercial, and then I eat that.
Huh.
Very confusing as a kid.
It's confusing now.
Yeah. It keeps me up most nights. Do you believe in magic? And I hope you do. You'll always have a friend wearing big red shoes. Come on, man. If you don't know the words, don't sing.
The words. I'm sorry.
That's Ronald McDonald, and that's the main guy in McDonaldland. He's not...
Yeah, no shit. He's the main guy.
But guess what? He's not the friggin' mayor.
No. Mayor McCheese is the mayor.
Yeah, what is... He's just some clown. He's really the only human...
No, Ronald's a clown. Mayor McCheese is a hamburger.
No, that's what I mean.
Oh, okay. I thought you were calling Mayor McCheese a clown. I know you've been very critical of his infrastructure plan.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, can we get a less corrupt...
Right. I mean, we haven't heard boo from McDonaldland in 17 years, so obviously things aren't going that well there.
Exactly. So in the 70s, McDonaldland was like kind of scary.
Everything in the 70s was scary.
I know. Like the original Miss Piggy looks freaking terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't know how to make children's characters look not menacing.
No.
I feel like it took them a full 15 years to figure out the eyebrows on children's characters to not make them nightmare fuel.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at... It's crazy it took this long, because if you look at things nowadays, you look at like a baby Yoda or a Pikachu, you could know nothing about that character and see it and go, "Aw."
Yeah. Why did they not do that? No wonder Gen X is so screwed up.
Right.
Not caring about anything. The
They're
magical
raised by nightmares.
Exactly.
Just make things soft. Don't put sharp angles in things.
Yeah.
Don't have them
kids
move
raised by nightmares.
Yeah.
No wonder they were just like, I don't feel anything.
Yeah,
I don't care about anything. I mean, disengaged with the world.
The amount of things, kids' things in the 70s that have freaking beady eyes alone.
Yeah. Why did they think that was
Give
okay?
things big eyes. That's what makes things cute.
The original Big Bird. It looks like he's gonna peck your goddamned eyes out.
Yeah. So what was scary about the McDonald'sland characters in the 70s?
They just all had a look. Like one of the main guys was Grimace.
McDonald'sland was originally in Times Square, 1970s Times Square.
Yeah. Hey, I prefer the old McDonald'land. That was a little dangerous.
When I was going to see Harry Potter on Broadway, there was... I always forget that there are still like a few, I think, pervert stores, where they called
Peep.
It wasn't a Peep thing, but I think it had booths you could go and rub one out into a video.
Don't say that.
Well, that's what you could do.
What do you think?
I
this
think
is
it
TBS.
wasn't.
You could say things like shit and rub one out.
Show
butts. You can show your butt next.
It didn't say it on the sign, but that was, it was like, we have private booths, and they didn't have live entertainment. So it was like, well, why wouldn't I buy the DVD? Why am I going to go to a private booth? Oh, because I'm on my lunch break and I need to see this right now.
I mean, it's a throwback. It's what it used to be.
Nothing scarier than somebody that, like,
look,
I don't want to get into it.
What?
Somebody that watches porn when they're not doing that. Somebody who just watches porn.
Maybe they're into the story.
Where they don't have a means to an end.
Maybe they are people who do not feel a human connection to anybody and want to see, they might be too shy to say hello to somebody and just be like, hey, this is how things happen.
Well, it's not. Like, no porn movie is how things happen.
They don't know
Take
that.
it from me. I've been a pizza delivery man for the last 20 years.
Anyway, the Grimace. Grimace is a large purple character. We know Grimace.
Yeah.
He hangs out with some pretty nasty dudes.
I didn't think about it, but yeah, Grimace originated from McDonaldland, right? That's where like all these characters came from, Hamburglar and everything.
Yeah, what do you think, Tom?
I mean, I don't know. These people are they're not people, to correct myself, but these characters are so ingrained in my psyche that I don't think of them as having an origin. I think of them as just always having been.
Yeah. Well, he made his debut in 1971, but you know what his name was? Evil Grimace.
Yeah, I remember. He had like angry eyebrows.
Yeah,
right?
so like when you're like, how is it sinister? The Grimace, the lovable like guy that we grew up with, was Evil Grimace. In his first 2 appearances, he had 2 pairs of arms
to
like steal
Goro
milkshakes and soda.
It's like Goro from Mortal Kombat, the last boss.
Yeah. And they did that, and then they were like, a year later, they were like, let's stop calling him Evil Grimace and making him a villain and make him.
Parents are having to drag screaming kids into McDonald's.
And then it was still 2 years after that they were like, let's just give him 1 set of arms.
Yeah, it is unnecessary.
Yeah. So it went from a guy that like was literally evil.
Yeah, it was right in the name.
Stole things from children to a well-meaning simpleton like you, Tom. Yeah, you're not all that well-meaning.
Yeah, I take exception to that. I'm not well-meaning. Now, is the implication that Grimace and Evil Grimace are 2 different things?
I think if you were to ask the McDonaldland creators,
they'd be like, we don't remember.
Yeah, Evil Grimace is who?
What? Yeah.
I should note, Tom, and this is a blind spot for me, because it also happened 10 years before I was born.
Yeah.
But Sid and Marty Krofft, you know them?
The brothers who started it?
No, H&R Puffin stuff and that shit, like Sigmund and the Sea Monsters.
Yeah, man, I know what H&R Puffin stuff means. It means puffin grass.
Yeah, man, Puff the Magic Dragon, bro. But that's the stuff that really screwed up the Gen Xers and made them not feel feelings.
That stuff too. Like I watched a thing about like a documentary about marijuana recently, and they were talking.
Was it just clips from the Joe Rogan Experience?
No, but they were talking about how like marijuana in the like 60s and 70s was like 100th what it was now.
Yeah,
and it's just like, oh, you guys were just like milking it then. Don't you guys even feel anything?
Yeah, you would have to smoke an ounce of it.
Yeah, relax, guys.
Yeah, well, imagine a world where everything wasn't so intense all the time. Just imagine that.
Yeah, I guess probably
where everything didn't need to be the most fucking extreme it could possibly be.
Yeah, I guess that probably makes sense. That it probably didn't take as much to like remove you from reality back then either.
So you know H.R. Puffin stuff like like
it's like a dragon or whatever.
It was like large puppets that would it was Saturday morning cartoon stuff. McDonald's was like, hey Sid and Marty Krofft, creators of this, help us develop this McDonaldland thing.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, cool. And then they did a bunch of work and then they were like, we're not gonna go that way. And then a year later introduced McDonaldland, which, if you've ever seen H.R. Puffin stuff, who is a mayor in the lore of that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And Mayor McCheese, they're like the same goddamn character. The McDonald's Corporation stole something. Can you believe it?
No, that's that. They're
when did Ray Kroc die?
How many freaking... I'm looking at the H.R. Puffin stuff webpage, and there's like 1,000 characters. It looks like the Lord of the Rings webpage.
Yeah, it's friggin'... it's the same thing as McDonaldland.
Oh, he does look like... I'm thinking he was a dragon, but no, he looks like Mayor McCheese.
You're just thinking dragon, man.
I'm thinking Puff the Magic Dragon.
Yeah, exactly.
Like puff, puff, pass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, man? No, he's got like a big wide hamburger head, just like Mary McCheese. He's got a medal on him. I feel like Mary McCheese maybe had a medal.
Yeah. Well, McDonald's had to pay up to the tune of over $1 million.
In 70s money?
In 70s money.
Ooh, that's
like
nice.
Bezos level right there.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. Good for them.
Yeah.
Probably bought a lot of shitty weed with that money.
They bought a lot of shitty weed and they made programming for children.
Had to smoke an entire bag of it to get a little bit high.
Do you know about Sunday?
Yeah, I know about Sunday, Tim. It's the day God rested.
No, Sundae.
Huh?
It's Ronald's dog.
I don't know if I'm comfortable with this. Ronald had a dog. What happened to it?
I think it depends. He was portrayed by Vern Troyer in 1998's The Wacky Adventures of Ronald McDonald.
That's Mini-Me.
Yeah.
Is
Is Mini-Me
peace.
still with us now?
No,
right?
he died a couple of years ago, I believe.
Yeah,
he seemed like a nice enough man.
he did. Moving on, Hamburglar, the man of the hour.
Right, the one everybody knows.
My favorite. He was bad too. The main guys besides
Was Hamburglar originally like just a mugger? Like he didn't steal things when people had their backs turned. He like took out a knife and was like, "Give me the hamburgers."
No, I think he was more kind of swiping when people weren't looking.
Right.
He was called the Lone Jogger.
What?
In some 1970s commercials.
I don't like that.
Sporting a shirt that said Lone Jogger. He spoke in gibberish, which is fun.
I mean, I feel like that was also the time when like a lot of joggers were like getting murdered in parks and stuff.
Yeah.
And he was the lone jogger.
Yeah. Remember when they tried to make him sexy in the
Yeah.
aughts?
Yeah, sexy Hamburglar. It didn't work.
I didn't understand the vision behind that. All of a sudden there were
What was the end game?
There were commercials where it was like he was a family man. Like he was grilling burgers, which in terms of McDonald's marketing, they should not let you know that you can make your own hamburgers.
Right. If you showed me the Hamburglar heating up burgers he stole in a microwave, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
but
nah,
the fact
I've been
that,
out stealing for a while and they got cold.
Yeah, that he took ground beef and formed them into patties himself.
Right.
And then grilled them up. Then what is his what is he burgling?
Yeah. Oh, is he just
Did
like
he shoplift from the...
Is it just for the thrill?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But he's also got, like, kids.
Well, yeah, because that implies a bunch of stuff like, oh, he got, like, maybe he got married and had kids too young.
Yeah.
And now he's, like, having a midlife crisis, so he's shoplifting, essentially, to, like, get a little bit of a thrill.
The Zodiac Killer presumably had kids, right? If we're to believe that one guy.
Yeah, I think so.
That thought his dad was the Zodiac Killer. You know that guy?
No, I don't. I think
this
I do.
This guy wrote a book.
Yeah. My Dad, the Zodiac Killer.
So, like something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, I have reason to believe my dad was the Zodiac Killer.
Did his dad sue him? Like, I might sue you?
I think his dad is dead. But,
if I die before you, you're going to... My co-host, the Zodiac Killer.
He'd be the Long Island serial killer. That's what I would say.
Yeah, it'd make more sense.
Yeah, he was a lifeguard. He was always at the beach.
It's true, yeah.
No,
he knew those dunes like the back of his hand.
What was I talking about? This Zodiac Killer. And I was like, I got to read this book, find out who the Zodiac Killer was. It's going to be this guy's dad. It wasn't like Freddie Prinze Jr. wrote this book, and it was like, oh, your dad Freddie Prinze was the Zodiac Killer. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be a guy.
No, we've talked about this a lot. The problem with we're going to reveal who Jack the Ripper was. And I'd watch that as a kid thinking like, oh, man, if they say Sherlock Holmes, I'm going to play. It's going to be
the
crazy.
only guy, was it William Shakespeare, who I think was alive around the same time? I don't know.
I'll be fine if you tell me it was like the king at the time. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
but still, like you'd be like it was King Henry II.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, it was a king. I guess that's like a little more interesting than what the actual answers were.
All right, Birdie.
Mm-hmm.
She's this bird.
Yeah.
Do you know what she was introduced as?
What?
Birdie, the early bird. Do you know why she was introduced?
For McDonald's breakfast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty nice.
That is pretty nice.
And
that was before McDonald's offered any kind of chicken options for breakfast, any poultry options, so she was safe.
Exactly. Did they have chicken and breakfast?
Now
then?
I think they do because of the Popeyes Chick-fil-A pressure that's been put on them that they offer a chicken egg McMuffin.
That's nice. I always enjoyed the no frills
Egg McMuffin?
No, chicken sandwich that they had. Southern chicken sandwich, I think it was called.
Amazing. It was peanut oil fried.
Yeah, I think they offered that at breakfast too.
They did, yeah.
And I enjoyed that very much. I'm a big believer of screw breakfast foods, man. Just eat what you're gonna eat in the morning.
Nah, McDonald's breakfast is the best.
Yeah, it is, but I don't think you should feel limited.
No,
like if you want to have
nowadays,
chili for breakfast,
right?
That's great.
I mean, nowadays they do have whatever. You can go there anytime, order anything for the most part.
Yeah. Mayor McCheese was an enormous cheeseburger who appeared from 1970.
No, he was a man with a cheeseburger for a head.
Okay, yeah.
He was not an enormous cheeseburger. That implies a big cheeseburger with arms and legs sticking out of it, and that is not what we got.
That's true. I always would get him confused with Officer Big Mac.
Of course you would. They're very similar. How do you think Officer Big Mac got his job?
Was there a constable, or am I wrong? Or was that Officer Big Mac?
I think he might have been Constable Big Mac. He might have gotten a promotion at some point.
I guess Constable is higher than. And then there's Captain Crook.
They never did anything about the time Constable Big Mac he shot the Hamburglar.
Oh,
17 times.
I know. It was. I don't think it was justified.
No.
But that Hamburglar was no saint.
Right.
He was no angel.
No.
The Fry kids.
Yeah. No, they were Fry guys.
I know, but they were the Fry guys. They were the Fry kids from 1972 to 1983. Before we were conscious of their existence.
And then they grew up.
Fry guys in 83, which was stupid because they had to change it back and to Fry kids to be woke in the 90s.
Well, I don't think it was to be woke.
What do you mean? You can't just call... They were the guys. They were.
No, I think it was probably they were just trying to appeal more to kids. Like, hey, these French fry monsters, they're like you. They're a kid.
Yeah. And then there was the only other human-faced thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the Hamburglar had a big kind of Disney World
Yeah, he had
head.
a cartoon humanized face.
So there was Ronald McDonald, and then there was also this professor. Do you know the professor?
No.
You'd know him if you saw a picture of him. He has a weird mustache. He's standing here, Tom, in this picture that you might use. He's standing next to Ronald.
Oh, yeah, I remember that guy. Although, he's still got a lot going on.
Yeah.
He does not just look like a man off the street. If you saw a man that looked like the McDonald's professor walking down the street, you would do a triple take.
The fucking police is what I do, Tom.
Yeah.
A scientist type character.
Scientist type.
He's a lab coat. He served as McDonaldland's local inventor and researcher.
He's really into phrenology.
In the 1970s, he was a minor character who rarely spoke. Then what the hell were they thinking? Why did they put this guy in there?
Yeah.
We'll just put a human man that looks like this in the mix. He won't do anything.
Yeah,
but
for people that don't know what this guy looks like, he's got one of those World War I mustaches that goes around his head.
Yeah.
He's wearing a costume like any of the cartoonish characters would wear. Yeah. He's not wearing normal clothes.
Then there's Uncle O'Grimacy. Do you know him?
Was it just Grimace with like a mustache or something?
Yeah, but it was because of the Shamrock Shake.
Oh, yeah.
Look, there was a lot of stuff that happened. They're starting to bring these characters back.
How?
I think that's smart in marketing.
Oh, I haven't seen that. In commercials?
Yeah, you don't see commercials. You don't watch linear television.
No, I don't.
Actually, you do watch like the Arrowverse on
Once
the CW.
in a while, I'll watch it live if I'm afraid of spoilers.
They've had a bunch of stupid stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, the Vulture, an unnamed vulture that spoke in a monotone voice.
That sounds scary.
Bernice, that strange creature that was introduced from 1992 to 2001.
What does she look like?
She ate inedible things, like the script in the 3-part Ronald McDonald Making Movies commercial.
Yeah, I think I remember Bernice. I think I remember him
She
getting
kind
mad.
of looks like Alf.
I think I remember him getting mad at Bernice. Can you show me what Bernice looks like?
Yeah, Bernice looks like...
Yeah, it looks like Alf. It looks like an exaggerated Alf.
Yeah.
Huh.
What are you guys doing? You're going to have to pay...
Right. Did you not learn your lesson?
Yeah, HR Puff and stuff. The Alf people are going to come after you. I Am Hungry. His first name is I Am.
That's not a first name. Ian is the first name.
Yeah, you know when they would do that shit where it'd be like... where it'd be like, hey, did you read this book, How to Cook Humans by Ida B. Hungry or something?
Uh-huh.
It's the
Ida B.
Hungry. Forget it. He was...
Who would ask you if you read that book?
You know what I'm talking about? Those kind of joke books?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, that they would sell at like Scholastic book fairs.
Yeah, whatever. Forget it.
And they were full of like, all right, I guess if this situation somehow comes up, I could use this joke.
But I maintain that McDonaldland, despite it being frightening for its first decade, was the smartest marketing move that McDonald's ever made, because they made some innovations at first, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, we get your food to you quick and it tastes great. And then they rolled back the kind of taste great innovations to be like, we don't actually have to train our workers. So like the food will suffer, but we'll still be able to have low-wage workers that will never have to train and pay well.
And it'll be consistent. No matter where you get it, it'll taste
exactly.
the same.
And then to get all of us in, like when we were kids, it was an event to go to McDonald's.
Oh, 100%.
And it wasn't because the efficiency of the or whatever. It was a little bit because of the Happy Meal toys, but it was mostly because there was this lore around it where there was
lore, and then they would have a playground that fed into that lore, was based on that lore.
And we all thought Ronald McDonald sucked crap. Like, he sucked. He was the worst guy.
Him.
But the Grimace, the Hamburglar, Mayor McCheese, Birdie, the Fry guys,
they were all fun.
The singing Little McNugget guys. Yeah. That's what got us hooked. So the fact that they killed that off in the early 2000s, how are you going to indoctrinate the kids to your stuff? You got Morgan Spurlock telling them, stay away.
Can you imagine
You need Birdie being like, "Hey, eat breakfast here."
Can you
Eat all your
imagine,
meals.
like nowadays, if a chain restaurant, like a fast food chain restaurant, if a place like Taco Bell was like, guess what? Now our restaurants have ball pits for kids. You'd be like, I am not letting my kid anywhere near that.
No way, my friend.
And also people are like, Taco Bell, what the hell are you doing? Don't do that. That's weird.
Yeah.
Stop it. But McDonald's, they were like, nope, we're just going to make this, we're going to turn our restaurant into half like a kid fun center. So kids are going to beg their parents to go. And then...
It was a goddamned treat.
Well, and as a kid, dinner, even if it was something you liked, you didn't give a shit about dinner. All you cared about was dessert.
Yeah.
Because we were trained like it's only sweet things that you should be excited about.
Right.
But then McDonald's trained us like, no, sometimes hamburgers are exciting.
Yeah, and fried stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I remember as a kid, like when it'd be like a cookout or whatever, I never ate hamburgers. I didn't like those hamburgers. They were too thick. I wanted the thin hamburgers like McDonald's, so I would eat hot dogs. You know?
Exactly, huh? Here's the thing. I don't eat this shit now. But if I had a kid, I'd be like, well, I don't want them to miss out on the McDonald's. Like, I'd be like, I remember how happy I got when I was a kid going to this thing. And it's all because I was indoctrinated by the Grimace and Birdie. And I'd be like, well, I'm going to start eating this shit again because it made me happy when I was a kid. I want my kid to feel the same way.
Yeah. But McDonald's isn't the same place. Now it's like a freaking cyber cafe.
Whoa. That's next week.
I've been getting, like the past few weeks, I have the McDonald's app on my phone. It's free. Anybody can get it. I'm not trying to brag. But they have deals every day.
Oh, no.
The deals work. I've been good, but the deals, it is like such a shitty thing because you'll go in there and sometimes there will be a deal where you're like, well, I'd be a fool not to.
Tom, apps, you shouldn't download apps that are for stores. You're so susceptible to marketing gimmicks as it is. You shouldn't be able to carry them around in your own pocket.
I shouldn't have any store apps on me. But I've been getting, not a lot, but like sometimes I usually make coffee at home. I have a cup of coffee before I leave in the morning. This is my morning routine.
Cup of Joe, you call it?
Yeah, a cup of Joe. And then I make some I make enough so I have some coffee to drink and some coffee to put in a thermos. And then I bring that to my co-working space. But sometimes I get up late. Walking the dog takes longer than I would think.
Your yo-yo tricks take more and more
time. I've
time.
got to practice every morning.
Yeah.
So sometimes I will get coffee at McDonald's, and the past few weeks, I think the app knows that like I haven't been there as much, so it's like we gotta offer him some sweet deals to get him in. The past few weeks, I've been getting 99-cent any size coffee, and I go in and get that. Are
you susceptible to the upsell?
No, because here's the thing. They have fucked up. They've messed up because they offered me this 99-cent coffee deal, which I'm all for. They have decent coffee. But once you use a deal, you can't use another deal. And I'm not going to buy a breakfast sandwich at full price. No, get out of here. They're too expensive.
I don't like McDonald's breakfast sandwiches.
No, well, you're 100% wrong in that regard. They put drugs in them or something. They're the most delicious things.
What are you, a McGriddle kid?
I love a McGriddle. God, I love a McGriddle. I like a bagel, egg and cheese.
I do prefer.
I mean, they're garbage bagels, but you know. It's still
They're fine. A crappy bagel is still a bagel.
Yeah.
I don't like bagel snobs. It's like, if I'm not in New York, I want to eat a bagel.
No,
Shut up.
I'll eat a Lender's bagel if push
a
comes to
Lender's
shove.
bagel is great.
Yeah.
Not even if push comes to shove. I'd eat a Lender's bagel every day of my life happily.
God, if I
Murray Lender, is that his name? Murray Lender?
If I could eat a Lender's bagel every day and it wouldn't affect my health at all, I'd be thrilled at that. I would agree to not eat any other bagels.
Maybe you can join the Murray Lender 5K bagel run.
I will say this. The bagels that come on pizza, the Pizza Bites bagels, they're not that great. Nah, they're pretty good now that I think about it.
No, you know what I think the biggest problem with that is the sauce. They cheap out on the sauce.
Well, I mean,
I'll take a shitty bagel
and
I will take a shitty cheese.
Yeah.
But
cheese can only be so bad.
I've said the SH word so much on this episode.
SH word.
It's kind of I feel like the fact that I thought like, oh, they could say this on like basic cable now.
I guess I can say it on
we're the basic cable of podcasts.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tom, thank you for taking this journey with me. If you want to learn more about the McDonaldland crew, go to mcdonalds.fandom.com.
Should we mention that this episode was sponsored by them? Do we have to disclose that?
Do you think they'd be happy when I said, I don't eat any of that shit?
Yeah, I mean, it's all oh, man, if we got a McDonald's sponsorship, though.
Yeah, I would do every week sponsored by. I'd talk about McDonald's every week for an hour. I think we could.
Yeah, we would just turn this into a McDonald's show.
Yeah, I'd start eating meat again if they wanted to do this.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, I'd be chomping on
McDonald's
a 20-piece McNugget every time we record.
McDonald's could start turning some vegetarians around by having Tim lead by example.
Exactly.
McDonald's, get on the horn.
I mean, I would say, like, I'm being paid handsomely for this.
Right.
But, like, if the price is right, fucking do whatever you want.
Yeah. If you like the show, go to tcgt.com to find out more about it. You can also follow us at Complete Guide on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Complete Guide. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Tom Reynolds.
Follow me at Your Pal Tim.
If you want to support the show, check out our sponsors. Also check out tcgt.com/Amazon for your Amazon shopping. And patreon.com/Complete Guide for our Patreon show, Books the Podcast. We are in week 2 of Holes. Tim's reading the book Holes.
I realized some stuff about holes today.
Oh, maybe we'll hear more about it.
Yeah. It's
behind a paywall.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, don't say it's not that interesting. Damn it, Tim. McDonald's, look, if you can't sell our thing, how is McDonald's going to sell?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I replied to a comment on Reddit. What somebody said. Did you mention the Reddit thing?
Oh, reddit.com/r/TCGTE.
Yeah, and somebody wrote like some stupid scheme to like spend money, and I said, if you want to waste your money, subscribe to our Patreon.
Yeah.
Because to dissuade him from spending money elsewhere to do something.
What are you talking about? Why are people posting about wanting to sign up to schemes in our Patreon?
Yeah, you'll see.
All right. Well, yeah. Unless it's our scheme, keep it off our Reddit.
Yeah.
Subreddit.
Tom, you mentioned you put your coffee in a thermos.
Yeah.
I have 2 coffee thermoses.
Mm-hmm.
Zoji Rushi brand.
Okay.
The wire cutter best brand.
Yeah.
I like it so much I bought 2 so I could always have one and like, you know, one could get dirty and it will take me a while to clean it, so I'll just take a new one.
Okay.
I've lost them both.
Wow.
In the last week.
How?
I don't know. I don't go anywhere with it.
Huh. No, I've had the same one for like a couple of years now.
Yeah.
I keep it.
Yeah, I've been buying coffee. I've been going to Starbucks every day.
Must
you know
be
what?
Nice.
Well, no, I told you for every holiday, major and minor, St. Patrick's Day, my mom will be like, "Happy St. Patrick's Day. Here's a $25 gift card." I just pop that into the app.
Traditional Irish drink.
Yeah.
Coffee.
I'm making an Irish coffee every morning on the way into work.
That'd be nice.
Put some booze in there.
Yeah. What is the noise booze makes? That's not that noise.
Yeah.
It makes this noise.
Makes this noise. So refreshing and nice. I can't live without it.
We'll see you next week.
That was a HeadGum podcast.